Now I call upon Shri M. Madan Gopal sir, who is IAS retired officer, former additional chief secretary, Government of Karnataka. Dayavattu Bani sir.
Respected Shri PGR Scindia ji, Dr. Manmeet Khurana ji, my friend Sri Krishna Maran, and all the distinguished guests on the dais. I think I have to make certain clarifications because I happen to be the chairman of NEP Implementation Task Force in Karnataka with specific reference to school education. At the outset, I compliment Time2Grow in organizing such a wonderful, I don't know if they call it as a seminar, but I could see through the topics on the panel discussions, the most relevant and most appropriate topics to discuss in the context of NEP 2020. So I would like to say that I'm not holding a brief for Sri B.C. Nagesh, our Minister for Primary and Secondary Education. Now it is renamed as the Minister of School Education and Literacy. In fact, all of you know such a heavy rains pounding Karnataka, particularly in the few districts. The situation is alarming. So yesterday, in fact, I checked up with Minister whether he is coming for that. In fact, I personally mentioned to him that this is a time, it's a wonderful opportunity to share his views and also to meet all the stakeholders. He was supposed to come in the morning only. Actually, yesterday night I got a call that there is some emergency situation in his district. Because that is the reason he didn't come for today's meeting. I'm not saying I don't want to react to what Mr. 𝗙cie𝗹𝗹𝗁 said because unnecessarily it will getting into the avoidable debate. Because I personally feel he's the most accessible minister I have ever come across. Secondly, regarding NEP, because since I happen to be associated with the education sector right from 1986 onwards, when NEP 1986 was announced, there was a POA program of action. There the planning commission, the then planning commission constituted various working groups. I was member of one of the working group on non-formal education. I was at that time director of mass education and also in charge of director of public libraries in Karnataka. So there when you talk of a national education policy, when you talk of 2020, it is not a new education policy. It is a national education policy. Policy documents specifically mention that it's a continuation of the whatever the unfinished agenda of 1986 policy reflected in the policy of 2020. Secondly, this policy initially, the first draft was prepared by Sri T.S.R. Subramaniam, former cabinet secretary, way back in 2015. And finally, it got approval of the cabinet in 2020. I'm saying that 5 years. And again, I'd like to share a few specific points in that, facts actually. Say, this is with my 35 years of working in the government, I can say that this is one policy that has most debated, most discussed, and most shared document ever seen since independence. I am saying it with whatever the knowledge at my command. The 112 themes were identified before preparation of the finalization of the policy. 2.5 million suggestions are received by the Ministry of Education. There are 297 tasks were prepared. All this was shared with every state. It went down to the panchayat level, thoroughly discussed, debated, and then the policy came with a proper framework. Again, specifically, this is specifically to mention that this is not something to be politicized, because as I remember when 1986 policy came, many state governments passed resolutions opposing that policy. Very concept of national curriculum framework was opposed by many states. But subsequently, we realized that what exactly, I'd like to quote from 1986 policy, it says that, 1986 policy refers that concept of national system of education lays the greatest emphasis on elimination of disparities in the educational system and on improvement in the quality of the publicly funded schools, so that parents may not feel the need to send their children to provide high fee charging institutions. This is a direction towards which we shall have to move with speed and determination. These are the words from National Education Policy 1986. So how far we achieved, we have to see that, because under National Education Policy 1986, phenomenal changes have taken place in education sector. Whether it is a primary, whether secondary, whether technical, whether it is a university education, whether it is in the field of research and development, and phenomenal changes have taken place. But that is not enough, because the way the world is progressing, the NEP 2020 addresses these issues in a comprehensive and in a very, very appropriate manner. When particularly the school education is concerned, we are aware, particularly in those in urban and semi-urban areas, the proliferation of the early childhood school and education, ECCs. They call it a pre-primary, whatever the name. Some are Montessori, kindergarten. I'm in touch with most of these institutions, those through their representative bodies. So there are many of them, proliferation. When we see the dropout rate at the class 2, class 3, dropout rate in the rural areas is again the highest, because there is something called educational gap. Gap in the rural areas, gap we are witnessing in the children of scheduled tribes and the backward classes and the marginal sections of society. We cannot ignore that. So therefore, the policy of NEP 2020 comes up with a very, very radical change of bringing the early childhood care and education into the school system. It's a great challenge. It's not easy, because we are debating issues for so many months, almost 2 years now. The major problem, challenge is going to be how do we bring early childhood care and education into the school system? Because now it is not regulated, not that regulation is required, but some sort of a quality regulation is required. And how do we bring children of 3-year age, 3, 4, 5, and how do we bring them into the school system? This is a major challenge which it is still discussing how do we evolve a proper, appropriate policy for that. Now that stage is called a foundational stage. Instead of calling it a 𝗖cie, 3 years of a learning, and then foundational stage, child enters the class 1 and class 2. These are the 5-year stage. This is the most challenging segment of the NEP policy, 2020 policy. Similarly, the last 4 years, it says 5, 3, 3, 4, last 4 years, we're bringing the 9, 10, 11, 12. Now we have a PUC in some states, and like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, there is an intermediate. Some state, Karnataka is a major challenge actually, because PUC, there are independent PU colleges earlier. Now there are composite junior colleges. There is also colleges attached to degree college, though number is small. So bringing them together, how do we bring into the 4 years of a concept where the technology plays a major role, where the skill development plays a major role, vocational education plays a major role, not as out of the curriculum, but part of the curriculum. Now the national skill quality framework, they're working out the various strategies, what technologies, what type of skills, what type of inputs are required at a class 9, at class 10 and class 11, class 12. It is a challenging task, because it's not just the responsibility. Government have a vision. They are all educationists. You know that all those in the various committees are educationists. They have spent decades of their life in education sector. Everybody concerned, because this is a concern of education, is that how do we take the India forward? How do we make the citizens forward looking? How do we make India progress, and with the galloping progress, which we have the vision now? So these are the issues. I'm saying that class 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, when we talk about that, how do we integrate? Again, how do we link the school education with higher education sector? These are the various issues are being debated. I'm saying that with a greatest humility at my command. The NEP 2020, let it not drag into controversies, because this is the most opportune time for all of us to see that there definitely any policy have certain challenges, particularly education sector. The complexities which have, whether it is aided schools, unaided schools, issues of quality, various complex issues are there. So therefore, it is a collectively we have to face them and how to evolve a consensus into that. Because my suggestion is that conflict will take us nowhere, because we have seen conflicts in the past. Conflict will take us nowhere. We have to think in a consensus manner. How do we bring a cooperation? How do we bring a consensus? How do we think together, act together, so that NEP 2020 will move forward? With this, again, the point of recently some unfortunate avoidable debate came into public domain, where as part of the NEP 2020, every state is asked to prepare certain position papers on specific themes. Themes are very, very wide range themes like philosophy of education, knowledge of India, language education, social science education, and then the science education, art education, various themes, amazing school complexes, various themes are involved there. We are really about 20, in Karnataka took one more school complex we have included in that. We have 26 themes. All these position papers are put in a public domain, because it's not just something to be done in a conference secretly, etc. Most of the members of the committees of these 26 position papers they worked in the field. Many of them, their children send their children to Kannada medium schools, by the way, to clarify to Shashi Kumar. Many of the, I have the details with me, because many of them, we even brought some of the retired school teachers to be the members of that committees, so that we get a excellent feedback from the bottom up. This is entire participatory, dialogical, co-intentional process which we have, consultative process which we have adopted. Because of that is public domain. The very fact that we kept these documents in a public domain shows our confidence in the maturity and the capacity of the educationist and the children and the parents to know the various dimensions of education sector. So these are the issues which language education is. I can debate that, because this is a language education which the document prepared. Again, it's not a policy document. It is not a recommendation. It is only the document to status paper of what Karnataka's vision is. So with this, I compliment Time2Grow, particularly to organizing such a wonderful program. I'm sure the panel discussions will throw light on various issues and also to clarify so many things. With this, I thank once again. All the best. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka.